I think loneliness is different for everybody, really. We all cope with it in our own way, but it is being on your own. It's waking up in the morning and wondering, what you're going to do that day. Will you be well enough, and that sort of thing.
According to Age UK, more than 2 million people in England over the age of 75 live alone. Val Davies Skinner, aged just 82, was recently widowed to her second husband 3 years ago and has since then lived on her own in a little village in Merseyside.
Loneliness is not a good thing, but we have to learn to cope with it, because I think all people at some stages of their life have loneliness, and it is part of our life. But we also have good times, and it's the good times we've got to remember. And if we're fortunate enough to have family, like I have, then we can ring people or get in touch and have good friendships. So just saying a prayer now for...
But for many other elderly women, they don't have the benefits of today's technology, nor the family or members to talk to. Val decided to change this and to set up a support group within the Holy Trinity Church in Formby and welcome people into her home twice a month. The support groups allow members to discuss openly how they feel and to pray to God for support for one another, whilst allowing their conversations to be kept private and secured between one another. Many of the members may be widowed, lonely, or just wanting a friend to talk to, and like Val, this helps her cope.
Pray for... It's been 7 weeks this week since my son committed suicide. I pray for all the men's mental health. Yes, they will go and seek help. Yes. And not go in that terrible route.
With the support group only being twice a month and not many people may have the opportunity to go to house groups, what is there in England to help our loved ones? Jacinta Ashdown, Chief Executive Officer from Age Concern Liverpool and Sefton, spoke to me on what Age Concern does to help prevent the elderly population tackle loneliness.
So Age Concern started 95 years ago, which was the first charity in the world to actually focus on the older person. It was founded, 50 was quite old, so we take advantage of that and the fact that we can do things for 50 plus, then 65 plus, and actually focus on what individuals need. So there's the cost of living crisis at the moment. There's a lot of isolation and loneliness, particularly after COVID. People are still frightened and scared to go out. So the activities that we hold are a lifeline for these people. I've had individuals say to me, "You saved my life," because they were in such a deep depression. And actually coming out, meeting other people, talking to other people, doing the kind of activities that we do has just been phenomenal for them as well. So we have a variety of different things that we do. We have one-to-one support for about 6 weeks, so we can actually get some proper outcomes and focus on what that individual needs, whether that be getting on the bus for the first time since before COVID and coming into town, or signing up for maths classes, for example. There's a wide variety of things that we do, so we focus on what that individual needs. So the activities that we have a combination. Some are trips out, which are great, so we can go for lunch in New Brighton, or go up to the museum, or go around Everton Football Club or Liverpool Football Club and have the tours there. But they can also come here to Dale Street, where we're based, and we have an activities room. So we have all sorts of things going on. We have games afternoons, and we have musical celebrations, and we have afternoon tea. And it's just a way of getting people out and about and talking to other people. People who their only company is the television. They may see people once a week and have no other visitors, no other people calling at the house, nothing. They go out one day a week, do the shopping, see a few people in the shops, not necessarily talk to them, and then they're just in the house. doing nothing and feeling really isolated and really afraid. And the amount of damage that loneliness can do to the health of an individual. You get cognitive decline, you get physical decline. It's the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. In this day and age, a lot of older people, their family have moved away. They've had to move away for work. And even if it's just to Manchester, it's not as easy as getting back. So you do have an older population, you do have an increase in single person households.
Whilst majority of the elderly struggle to see family and speak to friends, they try and keep busy and stay fit and healthy as much as possible by gardening or going on their daily walk. But with Val's support group only being on twice a month and rings her family as often as she can, she takes upon a small hobby that she's been doing since she was a little girl. With the hobby being poetry, Val writes poems speaking about the death of the Queen, to writing poetry for her funeral, to walking around New York from when she once travelled with her late husband, John.
Every time there was a sort of catastrophe, or even personally in my own life, or in the nation's life, or in the world, you would sit down, and it helped me to cope with the situation by writing about it. So that's why I came, and the poem that I'm going to read to you today, if you'd like me to, I actually wrote as the Queen Elizabeth II died recently. Britain is facing a tragedy at the passing of Her Majesty. She reigned for 70 years, and now we're all in tears. After the passing of King George, she then became our Queen, the longest-serving monarch that the world has ever seen. She gave us perfect service, always smiling to us all, never failing in her duty and always at our call. Visiting every country of the Commonwealth, she always had a smile. We all grew to adore her and appreciated her style. How the nation's going to miss her. She's been part of all our lives, her faithful, loving service from the moment she arrived. But now she's gone to you, Lord, of that I'm very sure. And I simply can't believe that I'll not see her anymore. I just find like people can draw or they can sing, I could write poems. Lead me where I'm yet to know.
Val's poems fills her with a huge amount of joy and can express her feelings through them. With Val's poetry being one of her favourite coping mechanisms, she was fortunate enough to be able to read and write a poem to her late husband John, whose funeral was back in January 2020.
You shall, you must, you can. We met when we were older, both widowed and alone. We shared our Christian faith together as we moved into our home. We had 19 years of marriage, some in a vicarage in town. I love my time with your parishioners and know I didn't let you down. But now you've gone, my darling, to that heavenly place you knew. Till we meet again together, my memories will help me through. Everybody that lives to a reasonably old age has had some grief in their lives, I'm sure. It usually starts when we lose our parents and things like that, or perhaps a family member. So, yes, it just helps me to cope with the situation, whatever it is. Sometimes it's a personal one, and sometimes it's a national one, or whatever. I just cope with the day, how it's going. Some days are good and some aren't, but I think that's the same for everybody. So, Isaiah said, God won't forsake you. You're held in the palm of his hand. It's comfort to know when I wake to the wonders of being your friend. Why are they in such a hurry? Do they return to friends and family, or to eat alone, not needing company? Showing tickets for inspections, people's lives in all directions. Oh, what stories they could tell, some of joy and some of hell, some of pain and hurt that's real. Well, how do I know how they feel? All I know as I board this train, that tomorrow they'll do the same again.